What's going on, everyone? Hope you're having a terrific day. I am packing to leave, going back to Japan, and then going back to the Philippines for some warm weather to just ride out the winter. Gonna do some backpacking, have some friends over there we're gonna hang out with, and chill on the beach. But I want to make a video for you all because this is a very important video. I want to talk about why bothersome tinnitus feels hopeless when you first get it. And this can last for 6 months, a year, You can be in that feeling where you feel hopeless. It seems hopeless. This is a very important video because I'm going to explain why that happens, okay? You have to understand that bothersome tinnitus, when you're suffering from it, it creates cognitive distortions in your brain. Or I should say it amplifies cognitive distortions. Now, what is a cognitive distortion? I'll explain. A cognitive distortion is a thought or a feeling that feels real, and when you're in it, it logically makes sense, and to doubt it would be to almost doubt reality, but it's not true. It's not real, it's not true, and it's a distortion. It's like if you look at a tree and you see something else, and you believe it's a tree, but you believe it's something else, but it really is a tree. Now imagine that with your thoughts and your experiences. It's like a schizophrenic person that believes there's someone out to get them. It feels so real that they have to do something about it, and then they act out in that. And that's why sometimes you see the bizarre behavior in schizophrenic people. But anyway, I digress. What I'm trying to say is that when you have bothersome tinnitus, you're experiencing something similar. The thought, my life will never get better. I'll never be happy again. There's no way I can go on to live a good life. That thought is a cognitive distortion. Okay? In order for that thought to be true, that would mean that you would have to be able to tell the future, which you can't. So, knowing that it's a cognitive distortion, and when you're in that cognitive distortion, right, it's a negative thought loop. It just goes round and round and round, and that thought makes you think more negative thoughts, which then puts your attention back on what's bothering you, which then drives more anxiety, and that anxiety drives more thoughts, and round and round and round it goes, and you can get to a really dark place with that. Now, how do you handle the cognitive distortions? Because this is very hard. It's very hard to do, because when you feel that thought, when you feel that feeling, it's so real. It's so real, and it feels like it's so permanent, and it's so much, it's so difficult to deal with, okay? I'm going to tell you that it's a slow process, and it takes practice, and it takes patience, and it takes self-love, and it takes doing certain things that get you gradually out of the current of the cognitive distortion, right? So it's like you're in an undertow, you're being swept out to sea, and your first reaction is to freak out and try and just fight it, okay? But that doesn't work. You have to eventually swim, right, along the coast, and then you can eventually get out, and then you can get back to safety. And it's kind of similar breaking out of a cognitive distortion. Now, what you have to do is you can't give your thoughts any more power than you've been giving them. The way to do this is to sit and meditate and allow your thoughts to be, but without responding to them. And that's all meditation is. People think meditation is sitting there and not thinking anything. That's not true. Meditation is sitting there, and whatever thoughts come into your brain, they come in, but you don't attach any meaning to them. You don't attach any more substance to them than you have to do. So what I did when I had really, really bad bothersome tinnitus is I would play a little bit of masking. I would sit there and I would hear my tinnitus, and I would just meditate, and I would practice on listening to it and allowing the cognitive distortions to be there, but I wouldn't respond to them. The thought would pop into my head, oh, this is horrible. You're going to be stuck like this forever. And, at first my heart would race, and I would get that anxiety when I would feel that, hear that, I've experienced that. But over time, the less I reacted to it, the less the thought and the feeling bothered me, to where eventually I don't have those thoughts at all. I don't have those feelings at all. And tinnitus is in the background of my awareness because I've practiced allowing myself to not respond to the cognitive distortion And I can tell you years later, and I'm traveling the world and loving life, I can tell you that it was a cognitive distortion. It was a lie. It felt real when I was in it. And if you told me it was a cognitive distortion, I would have said, there is no way, you're crazy. This is so real. But after I'm out of the undertow and I can look back, I can say that was not the end of my life. In a lot of ways, it was kind of the beginning. So that is how you break out of the cognitive distortion. Look, if you want a consulting session with me and we can go more in depth on how to get you out of the cognitive distortions, how to reframe your experience, how to get you on maybe on a path where you're traveling and getting back to the things you love, I would love to work with you. Hit the link in the description. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Peace.